All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome the back. So you all asked for it. Here it is. This is the General SHAO Advanced Guide. So the first thing I like to go over is kind of General SHAO's buttons. Right, he has some really good buttons here that can put you plus, but they have a lot of startup, you know? So in order to kind of reinforce his plus frames, you do want to use his regular buttons. So let's kind of go over those first. His most important button, in my opinion, is going to be his stand 2. This button is, as you can see, amazing. It's 8 frame startup, 0 on block, which means it completely resets the neutral. So you can kind of just poke with this again if they don't have anything that's faster than 5 frames, or I'm sorry, faster than 8 frames. And then also has this range, which most people don't. Like, most people don't have a poke that's 8 frames and that range, right? So this is why this is a really good startup. You can catch people slacking a lot with this, which kind of makes people want to block and forces people to block, right? And that kind of starts reinforcing your 50-50s. So that's kind of how you'll want to reinforce your 50-50s, because you're not going to want to just start off a combo with these. It's 20 frames. These are 20 frames. I think I heard somebody saying that they're 18. They're not. These are 20 frames. They're both 20 frames, so you can't fuzzy guard it, right? So that being said, right, you're going to be throwing that out, yes, of course, but you're not going to want to throw that out until you've reinforced it with a little bit of that, you know what I mean? The one thing SHAO doesn't have, though, that's important to note is any good mids. He has this back square, but it's a 14 frame mid, which is extremely fucking slow. So that one thing that he doesn't excel at is forcing people to not duck, right? Because a lot of people like to just duck down too and punish you with that. You can get punished with either a micro duck or just kind of a down 2. If you see right there, I put my button out, right, and he punishes it. So that this is something that can be punished, but it works well as a punish in itself. As you've seen there, I can punish his down 2. So it kind of depends on who goes first, but just know that you can get punished with this. And so can he. So you see that there when it comes to, it's all about timing. So if you do it a little bit beforehand, he's gonna get you every single time. So it's all about timing when it comes to this poke. And this one isn't that good because of how close you have to be. You're gonna get blown up every single time, right? People love to down 2 in this game online, so you're gonna get pretty much blown up every single time because of how close you have to be with the stand 1. But the stand 2 is just a little bit better in that regard, so you can kind of punish and do things with that. But just know that when you're reinforcing with this, like you're kind of reinforcing your, you know what I mean, your 50-50 game, that you can get punished. So you seen there, he just kind of ducked it. So all right, so back to the buttons. So as you can see, a lot of his buttons aren't punishable. Like that -7 is not punishable. You can block any attack, most any attack that comes after that. There are a couple of characters who can punish that, but most people can't punish this, right? So you can kind of just throw it out, and even if not, you can just throw out that first hit. It's hard to hit confirm that first hit with the second, but you know, if you get used to it, you can do it. So just kind of, you can just understand that you can throw that out. Another one of SHAO's good buttons that I don't see people use often is this. It's 14 frames on startup, but that means it's faster than this, which is your mix-up, right? And it's +2. This is +2. And I know it, for most people, it does not look like it. So for most people, when you hit them with this and then go straight into this, they're going to get hit by that. And I know that it said 18 frames of startup, but we know that that was for the second swing, not the first one. We know that if we go into this, so if we go from this straight into this, and as you've seen there, it can be +3 depending on how you hit it. But right there, it was +3. So if we go into this, straight into this, that means this move on startup is now 6 frames. Meaning nobody can punish this. Nobody in the game has anything faster than 6 frames. So nobody can punish you going from this to this. They have to hold that, right? And then on top of that, so we have this. I know it's 26 frames on startup, but you've seen the distance that it moves. You can pretty much hit it from, like, you can't hit it exact. Well, I guess you can. Usually, though, people will back up just a little bit, so you usually can't hit this right at the beginning of a match. But if you know, forward a little bit and hit this at the beginning of a match, most people don't know that this is -3, because just like the kick, it doesn't look, or I'm sorry, +3, because just like the kick, it doesn't look like it's +3, but it is. So if you go from this straight into this, that means that this move is now 5 frames. Absolutely nobody can do anything about this. Nobody. So they have to hold this. If you go from, if they block this, they have to hold this. There's nothing they can do about it. And just as we said before, we can go from this to that, right? And we've reset neutral, so we're at 0 again. We throw out our fastest button here, and now they're having to hold that. So we go here, 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 here. They pretty much have to hold that unless they throw out a button that's also 7 frames, or they have a 6-frame button. You know what I mean? And most people aren't expecting, because if you're just throwing this out, right, most people aren't just going to expect you to go here. They're going to expect you to do that second string. So they're kind of, you know, it's a little bit of a mind game in and of itself. Nobody's going to really like time that out and throw out a 7 string, or I'm sorry, a 7 frame anything before you throw something out, because they're expecting that second, or the second hit to come through, and they don't know if the third one's going to come through, right? So just really good buttons from SHAO here, and these buttons are how you're going to reinforce your 50-50. If you're wondering why your 50-50 is never working, it's because it's 20 fucking frames, and anybody with half a brain that plays this game can block these, right? Like you once you get to the top level, or to the higher levels, people are blocking these, especially that overhead. So just understand that if you're not getting those, it's because you're not reinforcing it with your good buttons, and you're not making them have to block your attacks, right? And so SHAO can be just as dangerous as pretty much anybody when it comes to like block stuns and stuff like that, or, you know, putting pressure on the opponent and things of that nature. Obviously, it's not as much as Reiko, because you can't like reinforce your highs and lows. Like, people can still duck this, you know what I mean? So obviously it's not as much as Reiko, because you don't have a really good mid that you can depend on. It's like 14 frames. But your standing 2 is so good that it almost doesn't matter. Obviously it still does, but it almost doesn't, because between the mind game of like just going for another poke and going for this kind of reinforces itself, honestly. That being said, let's see why we would want to reinforce our 50-50. All right, so say, you know, we start poking, we start reinforcing our 50-50. Now we can start doing the actual 50-50 game. And the thing with having Motaro as a cameo, either Motaro or Lao are really good as a cameo in this situation, because you can get a combo off of your overhead. So pretty much regardless of what you do, either low or overhead, you're getting a combo. So let's look at our 2 like bread and butter combos when it comes to that, and then we'll talk about some of the other cameos that you can use. So as you can see, about 30 and 33% between the 2 combos. So pretty much anytime you hit them with one of your 50-50s, you should be getting a combo off of it, which will make them extremely scared of our 50-50s, and this is why we want to reinforce them, right? And I mean, and of course, if you don't have, you know, one of these, either Motaro or Kung Lao, you can just kind of overhead, or, you know, do the mid and the grab, and it's not bad damage, right? It's not the worst. But it's not 30% every time you're touching them with that, right? And that makes this extremely scary. Like, that 30% anytime you touch them with anything makes SHAO just extremely scary. So you're going to want to make sure... Wow. And it's just so fun. Like, the combo's fun to do. It looks amazing. One of the reasons why I picked up SHAO is just because how fun he is and looks. So just kind of something to think about when you're reinforcing your 50-50 combo. Now let's talk about No Axe SHAO, who's extremely oppressive. So No Axe SHAO is a 50-50 monster. If you get someone like at mid screen or in the corner, you can absolutely destroy them with your 50-50 mix-up. So let's kind of take a look and talk about what that is and how that looks. So anytime you put the axe down, so we talked about our combo earlier, right? If you stop that combo a little bit earlier, and kind of here's how that'll look. Right, so if you stop the combo here, as you can see, we're in no axe form and we're right in his face. Just absolutely in his face with no axe form, which means we can do stuff like this, right? And that's 50-50, right? And that's not even optimal. That's just kind of me putting some stuff together on the fly right here. Something more optimal would be like this. So that would be a more optimal combo, and the reason for that is because it keeps you in the corner and it keeps you like right next to them, and you can, you know, go for your overhead right next after that, and then, you know, just kind of combo from there. And one thing that you have to get used to when you're in the corner with SHAO is when the axe returns, because it's not going to give you a warning, right? It's not gonna, like, you can call it back, but there's no audio cue that I know of or can hear of. It's kind of just a feeling thing, right? Like, the axe was in your hand by the time you get the audio cue if you listen to it, right? So the axe is already in hand by the time there's any type of audio. So you just kind of have to get a feel for when it's coming, because it's going to come sometimes in the middle of your combo. All right, so let's say you get the first part of this combo, right? And then you go for an overhead. That axe is coming back, and you have to be prepared for that, because it's not going to bounce them anymore, right? So you have to be prepared to press that R1, get your full combo, and then go into the combo we seen earlier, right? And for some reason the gravity was super heavy right there. Don't know why. I did do the second punch, but usually the second punch still lands. Anyways, though, you get what I'm saying. So that's kind of the big thing with General SHAO. Now let's talk about some of the other cameos that you can use and kind of how to use them, and why I've stuck to Motaro, even though it seems kind of basic. I feel like it's been the best choice for me. So
Soldier Boy, slither in.
Soldier Boy and slither in. That's fucking hilarious. Okay, so I'm not gonna go over the Serena cameo because we all know how to use Serena. Like, come on, you know how to use Serena. She's the same with every character. I'm not gonna go over that. So let's go over how you can use them with Lao. The SHAO Lao connection is actually really good.
Someday, Lieutenant Bay.
Alrighty, so why is Lao just as good, some people say, or if not better than Motaro? So some of the things that Lao allows you to do, so you still get the combo, right? But Lao also has a really good forward R1, or this is his breaker basically. So the reason why this is really good is because it gives you one hit of armor, and in between some people's strings you can throw this out there and it will launch them. So you're basically punishing them in the middle of their string with the launcher that you can combo from, right? Extremely good. Now, why don't I use Lao? The one reason I don't use Lao is that, yes, it's an extremely good projectile, but let's see what happens when two of them are gone. So 2 of my projectiles are gone. Now, how long am I waiting for Lao? And this is all I have as a projectile. This extremely 40 frame startup, extremely slow projectile that anyone can jump over and punish me for, right? So, and how long did it take for me to get Lao back? And now I finally have, you know, a way in, or or a way to, god damn it, or a way to you know, counter zoning. And if you run into a really good zoning character that, like Rain, this ain't doing shit to Rain. He's gonna stay up in the air and fuck you up over and over again. And I know it seems like, you know, you can do this forever, but you can't. Okay, this ain't, like I said, this ain't doing shit to Rain, and it's just not fast enough to like keep up with some of the best zoners in the game. Yeah, it's decent for anti-zoning. You can, like, you know, bring it out, you can hold it, you can enforce your overhead low with it. Like, there are really good things that you can do with it, but I feel like it just gets beat in the zoning. And for me personally, I like to have a like all-around build, so to speak, where I can kind of go up against anybody, especially in Combat League, because you never know who you're going to go up against. And I'd hate to be like, well, it's a Rain, I'm fucked, you know what I mean? Because I know that I can't, like, I can, even with that, Rain is gonna punish that all day long. So there's nothing you can do against a Rain with this, you know what I mean? There's nothing like there's nothing that will really combat Rain or really any of the other good zoners for that matter. You know, even some of the like subpar zoners, you're going to lose this battle because this doesn't do enough damage for you to win it against a really good or even a decent zoner. Let's think about the likes of like Tanya, right? She has an air zone that will absolutely destroy this low hat, right? You do that low hat, she does her air missile, and you're fucked. There's nothing you can do about it. There are plenty other things, you know, that I can't even think about right now that will completely just destroy that as your anti-zoning, and that's why I think it's not good. Whereas Motaro has the shield that bounces back everything, so it's complete anti-zoning, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing, it's anti-zoning that shit. So even in one of my previous videos, I showed an instance where someone tried to Serena me, and I Motaro'd them, and it bounced back right in their face and killed them with their own Serena. So extremely good cameo in Motaro, and that's the only reason why I don't use the SHAO Lao connection, even though it's amazing. Like, it's really good, some of the things that you can do. Like I said, you can you can reinforce your overhead with the low, which is insane, which is a hard to blockable. It's not completely unblockable, it's kind of fake. Like, if you do it in time, low key, if you do it in time, it's not fake. It's an overhead low. Like, they have to overhead low it, but if you do it in quick succession, they can block one or the other, and both of them are blocked. So just kind of keep that in mind there. All right, so another cameo that we can kind of talk about is SHAO Sonya. This is the damage heavy cameo. This is the cameo where, I mean, yeah, she has a projectile. Oop, god damn it. Yeah, she has a projectile, and it's actually not bad. If you charge it, it's a mid. If you don't, it's a high. So this is a decent missile that you can throw out every now and then. You can kind of let it go like whenever you want, right? And it comes out pretty quick. You can use it pretty often. It's about as often as SHAO. So when it comes to counter zoning, you know, it's around the same. Yeah, you can do decent with it, but it's not the absolute best. And there are some people that will just outright beat you with this. However, that being said, hers can be a mid. So you can actually get Rain with that mid. Like, if she has the full charge and you fully charge it, right, you can get Rain with that if he's in the air. So just kind of something to notice, but he'll probably have counter zoned you by the time you got that up, because it's 91 frames of startup, right? 91 frames. So there's no way in hell that he's not going to have hit you with a fireball by the time you've gotten that out, or thunderball, whatever you want to call it. Right. That being said, let's take a look at why we call it the combo heavy duo. All right, so I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I have not practiced this duo because I'm not like a combo heavy person. I like to cover all of my bases, but I could understand why you would want to be a combo heavy person. So the way you want to play Sonya Lao is basically the same as before, except your mix-ups are going to hurt a lot more. So let's just kind of take a look at what those will look like. So there you go, 35%. But the biggest thing about that is that it puts you in the corner. And it puts you in a corner pretty much without your axe, right? So you're in a corner, you're without your axe, and you can kind of do the same thing you did before, right? You either go low, you go high, or rather overhead. And the thing with your overhead is when you don't have your axe, it's a launcher, right? So you can kind of go into any of your combos right after that combo, and it basically makes it a 50-50 whenever they're getting up. You know, if you play Oki right and things like that, so you can completely melt someone's health within a matter of seconds. I'm sure you've all seen the super clip, and if you haven't, take a look at it. But basically it shows you how you can do that combo, and right after that combo you're right in their face with the 50-50. So, you know, you do this or you do whatever you need to do to get your next bit of damage in, and it's usually only like 15 or 25% that you need to end out the game. So really strong combination of characters. It's just, I personally don't use it for a couple of reasons. Honestly, I feel like the combo's a little bit inconsistent. This combo is a little bit inconsistent because I feel like it gives you different gravity at certain times. Well, that time it didn't, but sometimes it'll give you different gravity, I feel like the character's a little bit heavier. You see there? Like, I felt like the gravity was a little bit heavier there, so I couldn't go for the 2-2 follow-up. Maybe I'm pressing 2-2 too early, maybe, you know, I don't know. But any combo that I feel like you have to have exact, precise timing for it to come out is just not good and not consistent, and you probably won't get it consistently in a match. Like, you get it every now and then, but I look for some consistency, so that's, you know, basically why I don't use Sonya. But I'm not saying they're not strong. I'm not saying Lao isn't strong. SHAO Lao is also obviously really strong. Sonya SHAO is obviously really strong. Like, these are really strong combinations, or else I wouldn't have them in the video. I'm just telling you why I personally don't use them. And then of course you have the fact that you can't like get a combo off your overhead with Sonya. So just a couple things to think about when you're picking a cameo. There may be other cameos out there that fit with him just as well. If there are, let me know in the comments below. And ending off here, I kind of want to talk about a couple of things. So as I showed you in the beginning, when it comes to buttons, SHAO has some really good buttons, but his buttons actually change when he's when he doesn't have his axe. So that's still the same, right? And then we have the forward kick and the back kick. All of these are still the same. The biggest thing that changes is your 2-2-4 is safe on block. Actually, it's +2. You're positive on block, meaning it's still your turn. You can, you know, go back into this or whatever the case is. You'll probably not have your hammer. So if you do this, you know, you throw that out there right after. It's 7 frames. Nobody can punish you because you're +2. Nobody has anything that's 4 frames or 5 frames, right? So nobody can punish you for doing this, or sorry, for doing this and then throwing that out right after. Like, it's still, and now you're -3, right? Now you're -3. So, you know, if you want, you can try to steal your turn back with a poke, or maybe go for a cheeky 1-2 anyways, just to steal your turn back, or whatever the case is. But you don't want to end it there, or you can end it there because you'd be -2, but either way, these are pretty much the same. If you go 1-2 or just 1, you're going to be ended up with the same thing. The reason why you'd want to go 1-2 is because it's a launcher, right? So you can launch with it. But just something to note, when your hammer or axe is gone, your buttons change up a little bit, and this becomes completely safe. This still is not safe. This is -24 on block. Even if you do it here, it's -25. You're getting absolutely blown up if you throw this out. Do not throw this out in neutral. Do not. This is used for either a wake up. So it's armored on wake up, and it's actually really good. It's really fast, and it reaches, you know, further than some of the wake up. So it's an extremely good wake up. One thing to note is that you cannot continue with your combo on wake up. So if you get hit during your down back 3, you will not be able to continue your combo. So if you press down forward after that, just understand that it won't come out because you got hit during the armor. And, you know, I guess it's kind of a balancing mechanic. So you see that hit us, but if we do this, it's a really good get up move. And actually, we didn't take any hits of armor right there, so that was really nice. And then we can continue. If you don't take hits of armor, you can continue, right? So, and anytime you're waking up, you can just throw that out there, is of course if you have bar, and continue your combo, right? And then it continues kind of into the things we talked about before. So that's going to be your main wake up option and your main get up reversal. All right, so another thing I want to talk about is SHAO's anti-air, because he's pretty much this is a no jump zone character. He has so many things that he uses to anti-air. not least of which, I mean, obviously his down 2, but down back 3, right, is extremely good when it comes to being an anti-air. Like, that's gonna hit anywhere you go. And if you amplify it, obviously, you know, you go into full combo. But what I like to anti-air with is the standing 1. God damn, y'all, that fucking R2 Like, you have to have extremely precise timing. They need to look at that shit. They need to change that shit. It's fucking annoying. I don't like it back from the, I think it was MKX did it that way. I'm not gonna lie to you. I fucking hate it. Sorry to complain, but god damn, it's so annoying how precise you have to be in order to get an EX. Like, I know I pressed R2. I know I want an EX. Why does it have to be exact, precise timing? Like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so if you hit with the 1, you have to do a little bit of a micro dash. And then, you know, God be willing your R2 comes out, because I don't know about y'all, but for me, sometimes the shit just don't come out. I know you guys seen it. But that's probably the most annoying thing to me in this game. That and the input buttons and the inputs being eaten. But as you can see, you do have to kind of like space it. And then do a little bit of a micro dash. And then if you want to keep, you know, your mix-up going, you can end it with the knee. If not, then you end it with the grab and you get the axe back in your hand. All right, and another special move I kind of want to talk about real quick just is the axe power-up. You kind of want to use this, I mean, like as much as you can. It is 46 frames. Oh, well, if you already have it, you can't do it. It is 46 frames to start up, so, you know, just keep that in mind. If you're far away, sometimes you can get away with it. If you enhance it, it is still 46 frames, but it lasts longer. So, you know, just kind of remember that. And, you know, use it whenever you can. But I honestly don't use it often. I need to use it more because it does way more damage. And as you can see, the enhanced version lasts a lot longer. But, it's one of those skills that you have to kind of work up to, because I myself, if you've seen my gameplay, I don't use it often, even though I definitely should be, because it increased your damage by quite a bit. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right, now ending things off, we're gonna go back to Motaro. I just want to go over a few things. When it comes to your cameo, a lot of what I've noticed a lot is a lot of people aren't using your cameo as much as you should. As you can see, that is +4. So what does that mean? That means if we do something like this, which is -2, and follow it up with that, it's still our turn. So using your cameo, especially Motaro in this case, to make yourself plus is something that I see a lot of the pros doing, that I think you all should be doing too. Because remember, if you throw that out there, that's -7. There are people in the game that can punish that. However, I'm +5 now. Nobody's punishing me. It's still my turn. It's 100% still my turn. If I throw this out there and you try to do anything, it's still my turn. And not only that, but that turns this 20 frame that turns this 20 frame mix into a 15 frame mix, right? So if you do this and go with this, you were +5. So that means this was 15 frames. And so would this have been 15 frames. Right, so they have to guess, what are you doing now? And that's obviously no one's gonna be like the computer here who's 100% flawless and just kind of blocking everything. Once they start guessing, that's when you start putting in the pressure that I told you earlier and doing different things. Now from far away, as I mentioned before, Motaro, he has this, right? You can hold it and kind of just advance, and look how long that stays on the screen. That's way longer than anybody's going to be able to zone you out. Sorry, I had to change characters to show you this, but so this cameo works regardless of if they're doing the high or the low. Right, so you block the high, they keep going. It doesn't matter. This cameo is blocking highs and lows, and as you see, it goes back and it hits them. Gives them enough hit stun usually for you to go in. I was obviously just walking there, but you can. Oh shit, wrong one. I mean, if you're good at wave dashing, which I'm not, I have to learn it. But as you can see, even if you're not good at wave dashing, a lot of times you can get a punish, right? So a lot of times they're still in hit stun from that, and you can get a punish from it, and they're not expecting it, so you know what I mean? I obviously have to work on my wave dash because I'm not that great at it. But, you know, we all have things to work on, people. Hey, all right? I can admit when I have things to work on. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so as you can see, Motaro is just... Motaro. Why do I keep calling his ass Motaro? Motaro is just a match made in heaven for SHAO. and he covers him in all the bases that he needs to be covered, or in all the bases where he feels like he can struggle, especially when it comes to zoners. It's really hard to get in on zoners sometimes with SHAO, and it's really hard to like open people up with him. So as long as you're reinforcing your as long as you're reinforcing some of your strings with this, you know, and making them guess now, right? And now they're having to guess, am I going high or low, right? So as long as you're kind of doing that and using him in the way that you can, SHAO is actually top tier. I feel like SHAO is one of the, probably not S, but he's definitely A tier, top of A tier, in my opinion. Will I come out with a tier list? I don't know if I'm going to be doing that anytime soon, just because I haven't played with a lot of the characters, and I feel like for me it's going to take a long time to really get good with some of the characters and know how they are with some of the matchups, and you know, with some of the cameos and new people coming out. I just feel like there's a lot of different variables that people aren't taking into account when it comes to their tier list. But I mean, you know, what is a tier list but a temporary list of like who's better? So of course they're not meant to last forever, so you know, who knows, maybe I will. That being said, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked, leave a like, subscribe, do all the things. This has been Yate Gaming. We will see you in the next one. Other than that, stay safe, be blessed, and I'm out.
I have no idea where I'm going from here. Is